So you're talking about this, David, that it could have a great potential for lower income people, that they will be able to access transport due to carpooling, which is now 20% of your business?
Right, so 20% of our business on Uber is carpooling. We don't have that yet in Copenhagen, but that means instead of getting in the back seat of a car with one driver, 2 or 3 passengers are sharing a ride based on where they're going using technology to make that efficient. And so it's much less expensive. So it brings ride sharing really to all income spectrums. And the cost and inaccessibility of transportation, it just costs too much money and takes too much time for so many people around the world, particularly low income people. And so that's where I think ride sharing really does benefit. I think there's kind of a misperception that ride sharing is for just the young and the tech savvy and people leaving bars. And that's an important use case. It's a safe way for people to get home. But it becomes part of the fabric of how people move around the city. And I think along with public transportation and taxi and biking, it just becomes part of the ecosystem. But I think the benefits, and on the driver's side, so many people who drive on our platform are people who, here in Copenhagen, most of our drivers have other full-time work. They're just looking to add some additional income.
Exactly.
Or they might lose their job. So again, I think even in a place like Denmark, where you have had higher wage growth year over year than you've had in most countries, there's still a lot of people looking for a little more financial security.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's really what's at stake here, is from both a mobility and an economic standpoint. I think on-scale ride-sharing has a chance to help pretty significantly in both of those areas.
What are your experience with that? Because as you know, we have a growing population which is elderly and are losing out on their license, and they can have problems accessing buses in the middle of the winter with snow outside. So that ride-sharing opportunity might be within reach of their limited income. Also, you have a lot of kids that needs to go to football and practice, and they have to wait for their parents to get home from a very busy city. So is that a gray zone, or would that be completely normal for them to access this ride-sharing as you see it?
Well, I think we're starting to see a lot more seniors use the service.
Yeah.
I think that you have people sort of mid-60s through mid-80s being very desirous of being active, being out in their city, and when it's easy for them to get around. Some have to stop driving for health reasons, but sometimes it's just much easier to go into a city, take in a show, do a restaurant. So we have partnerships all around the world with senior organizations. And by the way, one of our fastest growing demographics on driving are retirees who may retire but want to stay active, make a little bit more money, be active in their community. So again, I think the regulatory system we've had around the world in most cities made it really hard for something almost all of us can do, drive, for people to engage in that activity. And we basically forced people into car ownership. Mm-hmm. Because for most people in a city, and if you're in the suburbs, you had to have a car. Many families had to have 2. And I think over time you're beginning to see people really make a different decision if they can.
Thanks.
Yeah.